All right, let's get right into it. Today we're going to tear down the official guide for building AI agents on AWS. If you're looking to build systems that can actually do things, and I mean really go beyond just a simple chatbot, then you have come to the right place.
So here's the question we all have, right? AI agents. Is this just the latest buzzword, some marketing fluff, or is it a real breakthrough? I'm telling you, by the end of this, you're going to see it's a genuine, massive shift in how we build intelligent apps.
Okay, so first things first, let's get our terms straight. An agent is not just a souped-up LLM. Not at all. Think of it more like a system that has a brain, that's the language model, but it's also connected to a whole bunch of tools, and it runs in this constant cycle, always working to get a job done.
And this right here, this is the agent's heartbeat. It starts by trying to understand what you want. Then it makes a plan. It calls its tools, APIs, to actually take action in the real world. It looks at the results of that action, and then it does it all over again, repeating that cycle until the task is complete. That loop is what makes it a real agent, not just a Q&A bot.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with a really cool analogy to get our heads around what an agent is. Then, we'll dive deep into AWS Bedrock. We'll cover the super important topic of safety, look at the whole AWS toolkit, and wrap up with a guide to help you pick the right tool for whatever you're building. So let's jump in. Section 1. What is an AI agent? And to really get this, we're going to use a simple, but honestly a really powerful analogy. A hospital.
And this quote just nails it. Think about it. You would never, ever want a single doctor who tries to do brain surgery and then run over to read an X-ray and then handle the billing. It would be total chaos, right? Of course, you need a whole team of specialists, and you need that triage nurse at the front desk directing traffic. That's the secret to building powerful agent systems that actually work.
So with that in mind, let's build our first doctor. That brings us to Section 2, inside AWS Bedrock Agents. You can think of a Bedrock agent as your very first specialist on the team. It's usually the best place to start when you're creating a single, really capable agent.
And just like a doctor, an agent has a few key parts. The foundation model, well, that's its brain. The instructions you give it, that's its goal, like diagnose the patient. The action groups are the list of approved medical procedures it's allowed to perform. And its knowledge bases, that's its entire medical library for doing research.
Now here's a pro tip, and this is so important. An action group is basically a security guard. It's a strict whitelist. Your agent can't just go rogue and invent some new, unapproved surgery on the fly. No way. It can only do the things you've explicitly told it it's allowed to do. This is absolutely critical for keeping your agents safe and predictable.
And check this out. This is a fantastic pattern for making your agents more reliable. You don't want your agent to guess if it's missing information. By using this Amazon user input signature, you're basically giving it permission to say, hey, I need more info. It's literally the difference between a doctor just guessing what's wrong with you versus one that leans in and asks, okay, so where exactly does it hurt? All right, let's get into what might be the most important part of all of this. Section 3, making agents safe and reliable. You can think of this as the Hippocratic Oath for AI. First, do no harm.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? Some system goes completely off the rails and suddenly everyone's pager is screaming in the middle of the night. An AI agent with powerful tools could easily cause that kind of chaos if we're not careful. So, how do we stop it?
The answer is all about designing your tools with discipline. First, they've got to be strict. You use OpenAPI schemas to define exactly what they do. They also have to be reliable, which means they're deterministic and idempotent, so you know running one twice by accident won't double book a flight or double charge a credit card. And maybe most important of all, you have to validate every single input you get from the model. Never ever trust it blindly. Always verify.
Now this concept is a complete game changer for safety. Who's in charge here? On the left, you've got the agent just doing things. It's risky. But on the right, we have this pattern called return control. Here, the agent only suggests an action. It's your application that gets the final say before anything actually happens. It's your safety net.
And let me be crystal clear about this. If your agent is doing anything that's high impact, we're talking updating patient records, sending money, changing a critical system setting, using return control is not optional. It is non-negotiable. It's the single most important safety feature you can possibly build into your system. So, what do you do when something inevitably goes wrong? Well, here is your debugging superpower.
Setting enable trace to true, it's like getting the agent's full, detailed medical chart. It shows you its entire thought process, every tool it called, every piece of data it looked up. If you need to understand why an agent did what it did, the answer is right there in the trace.
Okay, so we've built our specialist doctor. Now it's time to zoom out a bit. Welcome to Section 4, the AWS Agent Toolkit. We're not just thinking about one doctor anymore. Now, we're thinking about building the entire healthcare system.
And this table really breaks it all down. You've got Bedrock Agents, which are like a managed clinic. It's super fast to get set up and running. Then there's Strands, which is an open source SDK. Think of that as your build a doctor kit that gives you complete control over every little detail. And finally, Agent Squad, well, that's the full hospital. It's a framework for routing complex tasks between multiple specialist agents, all managed by a supervisor.
And that brings us to our final and honestly, most practical section. Section 5, your agent decision guide. Right now, we are going to write the exact prescription for your next project. So this is it. This is the big question. You've seen the options, everything from a single managed clinic to a full-blown hospital. So let's figure out which one you actually need.
The rule of thumb here is pretty simple. If you just want to get started fast, and you want tool calling, knowledge bases, and all that complex orchestration loop handled for you by AWS, then Bedrock Agents is the way to go. It's your fastest path to a working agent.
But what if you need absolute total control? Then you choose Strands. It's an open source SDK. This is for when you want to weave that agent logic directly into your own application code, fine-tune every single aspect of how it works, and run it wherever you want.
And finally, you choose Agent Squad when the problem is just too big for one doctor. If you need an agent for logs, and another one for metrics, and a third one for fixing problems, all working together, Agent Squad gives you that triage nurse, the supervisor, to route the tasks and manage the whole operation.
So I'll just leave you with this one thought. As you start planning your next big project, just ask yourself this one simple question. Do you need to hire a single specialist doctor, or do you need to build an entire hospital? Your answer to that will tell you exactly where you need to start.